practice. I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't get a lot of footage on day one. I was at the tail end of a stomach bug, so forgive me there, including the intro, which I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to be practicing over 2 to 3 days leading up to the first tournament. I'm going to be focusing on the Clinch River side of things because through a lot of research and talking to a lot of people, a lot of tournaments have been won on that side of this lake. Plus, that's the side of the lake that we're going to be launching from. I'm going to break the lake in half. On day one, I'll be focusing up the river in the upper half of the lake because they're giving 15 to 20 mile per hour sustained winds. Up there, we're going to be a little more sheltered. On day two, we're going to spend on the lower end of the lake, focusing on more offshore structure, a little more open water. Day three will be all about relocating the fish that hopefully we found on day one or day two of practice. We're not going to stick many fish that day. We're just going to really look for the bites, and then we'll shake those fish off because it's going to be closer to the tournament. We don't want to use up our fish before we get there. So day one, we started up the river. Water clarity was anywhere from 1 to 3 feet, depending on the area that you were in and how much wind it was getting. Water temperature ranged anywhere from 48 to 51 degrees throughout the day, and the air temperature got up to a high of 60. We caught them halfway up in the creeks. That seemed to be where we found them, back up in the river. Michael caught his on a green spinner bait. The one giant that I picked up was on a DT10 in Helsinki shad. So as a co-angler, you know, I stress to you that it's more important to find a group of baits than a group of places that you can catch fish. As Michael was catching bass on the spinnerbait, I tried other things like lipless crankbaits, some swim baits, you know, a lot of other things that you could use, chatterbaits for example, in place of that bait that maybe I could get bit on. So when you find a group of fish or you find an area that you can replicate, it's really important that you go and pick up a different bait. to see if you can get bites on it, because that's just another bait you're going to be able to add to your arsenal no matter where your angler goes to catch fish.
My heart beats slow. It's important to know that my heart beats slow, like there's nowhere to go. My heart beats slow, where the sun shines or snow. It's the breath to my nose. It's love knocking at your door, saying hey.
So here we are on beautiful Norris Lake. Oh, no, we're not. We didn't quite make it this morning. Sorry about the traffic noise, but unfortunately, we had a little malfunction. As you can see, we had bearing issues this morning. Here's my bearings. Luckily, I found this problem early as it started to smoke as I pulled into a gas station close by my house. Where I was going to launch the boat was about a 2-hour drive today. So, like I said, luckily, this problem presented itself before it caught on fire and burnt my poor old boat completely to the ground.
Trailer.
Hey, I was looking for a bearing kit. It's for my boat. So we're off to get the parts to fix the boat. Turns out it is the bearings, like I said earlier. The brakes look good. We're still going to have to do some cleaning on that. Luckily, it's not going to set me back too far. It's going to cost me about $19. I'll get them put on today. Might be able to go do some for fun fishing before I go to work tomorrow. Of course, if we do any good, that'll be part of its own series, not part of this series, the Limits series. But you know, this is just part of what I want to share with you all. I mean, the day-to-day, the things that you have to overcome. You know, it's why in the intro, you know, we say, or I said, you know, you're really pushing your mind, your body, and your gear, you know, to the limits. And you know, sometimes this stuff's going to happen. You're just going to have to overcome it. You know, the ultimate goal for the end of the year is always to make it to the regionals, because if you make it to the regionals, that's a free tournament. Even as a co-angler, you're fishing for, you know, you're fishing for, you know, $35,000. So it's, you know, and it's a free tournament. You don't pay an entry fee. You qualify to be there. And by the way, you can see my granddaughter, Mia, back there. She's dropped her cuppy, sorry. So we're going to get the parts. We'll take you in with us and see what we can do. And hopefully we'll get it fixed and maybe at least get a fishing episode out to you guys tomorrow. Part of the deal. Yeah, that's the only one I need. We're going back to O'Quinn's. We got the right bearings, but unfortunately in the pack they came with the wrong races. They were literally about a hair's width too big. So we're gonna run back up to O'Quinn's, get the right parts, and hopefully get this boat trailer put back together so we can get on the water. And next Wednesday we can actually do some practicing. So day 3 of practice will hopefully go better than 1 and 2 has. Whew, I really hope the whole season doesn't turn out to be like this, because it has been stressful so far. All right, let's see what we can do. After 2 days and basically spoiling my practice, the bearings are on, and hopefully next week, because I have to work nights all weekend, I'll be able to get out on Norris and get practice day 2 actually officially started. Guys, we are getting a late start today, but you know, when I got up this morning at like 7 o'clock, it was 12 degrees. A front just pushed through last night, so we're in post-front conditions with bluebird skies. The sun's out, really no wind to speak of. It's going to be cold today. At 1 o'clock today, it's just going to break the 32-degree mark. So we're not going to even see temperatures above freezing until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The water temperature, believe it or not, stayed above the 50 degrees. It stayed right around about 51 degrees. So like I said, we're going to put in at the lower end. We're actually putting in at Hickory Star Resort Marina, I believe is what it's called. We'll be fishing the entire lower section. We'll be looking for open water, deep points. The water is extremely clear down here, as you can see the beautiful green color to it in this video. I've never fished this end of Norris Lake. What I want to do is I want to find out, because again, I know they're in transition. They're moving from deep water points, deep water bluffs, deep water humps, up the channels, up the creek arms to their spawning areas. So I'm going to start out looking for bait. Now, I know a lot of times in the early year when the crawfish will come out, they'll feed up on that. But I will tell you, that pattern, especially in clear water, is more predominant around a new moon. Also a full moon, but in clear water, a full moon can make for some very tough fishing during the day. So generally in clear water, I look for bait fish. And the reason why I look for bait fish is because bait fish is an easy meal. It's a huge wad of protein that's easily catchable because they're in such large schools, and it's easily digestible. It doesn't take as much energy for the fish to digest a shad as opposed to how much energy it takes them to burn and process that hard-shelled crayfish. And they have to hunt a crayfish up. You know, there may be areas where there's crayfish out there, but those crayfish are hiding under rocks most of the time. These shads are right out in the open, and clear water fish are going to want to expend less energy to get the meal than the meal is going to give them. So what you're seeing right here is a bunch of bait fish mixed in with grass. There's some grass growing off of this point. And so it looks like what we've got is the right conditions for some jerkbait fishing. This is the first real bait fish that I found, and it is literally 2/3 up in the creeks. Now the last time I was out, look at that, there's some good size bait fish right there. So last time I was on this lake about 2 weeks ago, the bait fish were, in the first third. The bass seemed to be in the first third, halfway to the first third. But now there is a ton of bait fish up in here. As you can see right here in the middle too. I got it a little too bright. But now we come up on this point, you can see the grass right there. That little stuff right there that gets real dense, that's grass growing up on this point in about 10 foot of water. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a swim bait, and it seems like they're up in there. So you can see kind of the area that I'm fishing, and that ends the creek up there. This is a long creek, and you can see there's some bait fish here on the outside, that right there, if you can see, that may be some fish right there. Right there. Like I said, I've got it a little too bright right now. You got to constantly adjust these things. I'll do a video on that later. But this is the first real sign of life that I've really found today. Now I got a late start, and you can see, I mean, even here we are out here in the middle, 46 feet deep. This could be some Damiki rig stuff right here. Still, there might be some bass chasing right there in the bottom of that. We're gonna look around a little bit more, see what we can find. We're gonna kind of leave that point alone. There's a couple other points over here. We're gonna look and we're gonna fish this area thoroughly. We finally found some signs of life, and hopefully maybe we can find a couple of bass. The water is super clear here. I mean, we're talking easily probably 15 to 20 feet on the lower end of the lake, and I am on the clinch side. So, you know, I don't know how shallow these fish are, but we're gonna find out. I fished a lot of stuff near the front, the first third of the creek, and so we're gonna push on back and see what happens. I'm still seeing bait fish even out here over 42 foot of water. So let's see what we can figure out. You can see the grass that's down there. There's all kinds of bait fish. One. There it is. Big smallmouth. Look at that. Yeah. Holy cow. Woo, man, did he eat that. That may be a new PB right there, guys. Clear water. So I know the video was a little rough with the sun behind me, so here's a picture of the first fish. I actually caught a second one out of that school. Here's a picture of him. Now the great thing is, guys, you know, for me, I feel like I accomplished what I wanted to do in tournament one. I can leave no matter what happens during the tournament happy. My goal for this year during practice, especially when I'm by myself, is to see if I can find enough fish that I can be competitive as a boater. And I feel like I've found some pretty good things during this last practice. So the one thing about this series that I do want to say is this series isn't just designed for tournament anglers. This is a process that anyone that fishes for bass can go through, and it's going to help you find and catch more fish faster. You don't have to be fishing tournaments to do this. As always, if there's something you want to see or questions you have about this series or about anything, you know I love to talk to you about fishing. Questions and comments in the comments section. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and you guys rock.